So at the time, I thought it was a kind of mushroom, and it was on my path. And it was about 7 years ago. Came in very quickly, and I was preparing for the perfect zap. And it wasn't at all the mushroom. It was a vine mixed in. I heard some divine insight chopping, and look what I could be. And I didn't think that I could be those things, and I tried to fail, and I was none of those things. And now my life has turned into sitting with a natural sin, and to me, it's always on magic. 2 nights in a row, and some people like one ceremony, which can be valuable, and I can claim all of it. And on night, that's that beautiful magic that's advancing into the first night of golf and mocking the mon. So I feel comfortable in Iggy, and all this is in dissonance with the challenge of confirmation and unconstipation. And it's the complete opposite from the vine that's blessing all these things that are fascinating and fragile. And to me, this is this insect beautiful arc. It's like a cone, and there's in any way the dissonance and the instance and in the instance. So it's like running a baby on rays, and we get it in a sense like unwrapping, and it's really intense when it gets carried on and brought to you by the mush energy, being alone in the suffering, and while in it, grading and giving out the load and all of this work. And it's coming up the next day and the next day again, and I feel like a hard boiled egg, and I have the Me Too experience with that great recipe for success. And this is what Desire is for in that field, which is all the illness standing on a spiritual soul, or backward and forward, and living to hear that. And yes, I am a multidimensional persona that's been here to show this this commute, and opening this door for the multidimensional was end. And as I said, 7 or 6 years ago, magically, the same thing happened to you, and you were in full Volcarona activation, fiery wrath, and taxing the peasants, and you were ushering them. You were bringing them onto boats and wrapping them in lotus petals. So that was funny because that was my first year of ceremony. I was deep inside the Dumbo, metaphorically. The city was nearby, and I had a tribe. And we were going through trials and errors, and going down into the purgatory of the events that were happening. And I was zoned in my lucid dreams. I'd see the whole pandemic situation 3 years beforehand, and popped pins and both. So that was really drug induced, and pharmaceuticals, and the big pharma really did not help. Some fungus, like athlete's foot, way off the track. What is my purpose to getting into these people's houses and saying arigato to all of them to express my gratitude? And that was part of the hint that was a calling. And one night particularly, I was quote unquote beeping and looking through the magnifying glass, and I could really see spirits flying everywhere, and Ghastly and Hunter and Zoroark, and even some Gangars. So that was the next person. Really cool. I did massage the topic so that it could get blended into the discussion on Discord. And this was a channeling in itself, with you and me, whatever that means, my own beingness, and well-defined personality, and the grim mother. So that was the kind of strength that was expressed in watching over her family, casting on them, and loving, nurturing, really gently. And so, in a way, I could also see that the hallway, the big hallway, was a very intense Alvin experience. Me in the crown, looking over my belongings, all of the royal jewelry, and the accessibility of what was needed was really at my fingertips. And I moved on really quickly. I was really happy and shiny, and the ceremony was strong and really intensely beautiful. And some people had those, dark night things, kind of hells briefly. And there was always a lot of evidence that there was a different experience, much appreciated by Mother Nature herself. And at some point, it resonated so much that the glass was shattering, and nobody asked for it. So the calling, whatever it takes, I enmist my true self over the hills with a clue, none. And I was taking this thing and participating equally and showing up into the space of the Zen meditation and Tabaden and Wankatonkan. So the spirit of the plant was present, allowing me to work with her and ultimately with them. And I wasn't resisting because they were doing their best to help me, resisting none of my hallucination. And I was filling up the purging really differently, cleansing out from a deep energetic level in a way, walking on the path of clarity. And ultimately, it was a beautiful process, and I was fully surrendering and embracing the warnings that were coming in the really specific imagery, like colors and patterns, sacred geometry, helping me heal really whatever pairs like Mandelbrot and hypnotic motifs. And I could see those plants really opening up my boys, and my whole team was crewed up and screwed. And I could see that always dry whistle, like that, speaking to the plants through energy, through the wood and pipe and air and clay, all of the pet supply with nature was. So it was never like jumping in sync. And I loved it the way it was. And I was like, no, stop that. It's all a performance. This is all about healing the frequencies and whatever energies and emotions that need to be processed and the sounds that are going to come through you. So there were times when my voice was really cracking and raspy, and I was strained, and I never do adjust to whatever vibrations are needed for the people in the room in the process, and whatever the Grinch people were unhappy about, telling me that I'm all green and no blue and red in me at all. All of the aura was just one big blob of swampiness. And in such was a vulnerable plurality of processes. So nobody did it before. And there were no contact accounts for the account and the accountants and the count. This is right. So I looked into their eyes and what I saw was dark.